Alright, it's me again. Another cloud of roundups just passed across the village. Strangely enough, after all these chemicals have blown by, we get all the symptoms. They speak of COVID. I'm just wondering what kind of vaccine have they got to protect us against the effects of fungicide, herbicide, pesticide, and waterborne fertilizers, aerosol, slurry spray, and diesel fumes, as well as monoxide from fires and whatnot, another industrial hazard. I was out in the garden today and I felt really good about it, and I'm just preparing my peas. And suddenly I got symptoms and I could taste the taste. Viruses, you can't taste them, but the chemical agricultural poisons, the pathogens, you can taste them. So it wasn't viruses that were the problem. Nobody cares about that. Look at the correlation between symptoms of whatever ails you and COVID. They call it COVID. What the hell? It's a cover-up. They were trying to hard sell flu vaccine in a monoxide zone. I didn't buy it. I just got out. I got to where I could breathe fresh air. I was cured immediately. I can't escape here. We're in a small residential village of 6 residences. A hamlet, I suppose English people would call it, but there we are. In rural France. Cow country. Maize everywhere. There's wheat. This region's been in the grow zone since before the Roman Empire. And it's done its job throughout the whole of the time. It's just in a peculiar position. You know, it's the line, the St. Michael's line, the channel. A warm stream of air blows across Brittany, usually warmer than the hinterland beyond. And we like growing stuff. And we like organic food. We don't want to use pesticides and herbicides. We know better ways forward than that. Sustainable. I'd like to see hedges reinstated round here to slow down the progress of whatever it is they're spraying in the air, keeping it on their fields. The water's not protected. Anything that gets down into the aquifers been poisoned since the war. During the war, First World War, Second World War. And then what are we going to do with all the chemicals? Oh, well, we'll turn them into agricultural products. They're developed for killing people. But now they think it's safe to kill insects and bacteria and bugs and whatever next. For the food, of course, we're poisoning ourselves. We're poisoning the cows. Imagine we've got, in one field we've got a farmer rolling up grass on the early cut, whilst other farmers nearby are spraying pesticides on one end and fungicides on the other end. And it's all being collected in this hay that's just been cut and rolled. And it's there in a cloud of stuff. And it's being rolled up for cattle feed. Huh? For milk production. You can't escape it. Some Brittany farmers have got contracts to sell milk to China. That's going to totally destroy the ecological environment. It's been the life support for centuries for local people. Now they got machines that can do everything. They've got intensive carousels of cows, computer organised. We've got a lot of sick people. I don't know how long I can keep blowing my whistle. I don't have much influence, see. Words are cheap, easily ignored. I was ignored by my own family, so got no influence with them. I can't expect to be any more successful out there in the world. Been put in hospital 6 times for speaking the truth in open public, as politely as I could. Been battered to within an inch of my life. By Nazis and drowned in the sea by bloody fascist junta. They were going to shoot me through the head in Colombia. I'm only a gardener. I'm just interested in natural stuff, natural music, natural conversation, natural good clean air to breathe. What's wrong with that? I haven't wasted one single penny on razor blades in my life. I was born naturally. In my granny's house. I was told by a doctor that I'm not run-of-the-mill, meaning I'm not factory born. They classed me as being eccentric. They're trying to eradicate natural people from the world. You think the Liberals would give a shit? They don't. Whigs and Tories. Why do you think it took so long to ban slavery? They didn't recognise the fact that women and children in the mines were slaves. It was only 100 years ago or so that they were putting women on a block in Newport, in Wales, for sale. White women, you know, they're ecumenical abusers. The British Crown, you know, they tolerate anything that earns them a few bob. As long as nobody blames them, the faceless ones, and their masquerading followers. Britain's become an abuser's paradise where you can't speak out against it. I can speak out against it. All these video freaks, you know, the YouTube people and all that, claiming they don't have free speech anymore. Oh, bollocks. They should try standing up in public and speaking alone without the backup, without the protection of the screen, you know, doing it in public alone, everywhere they go. You know, I've been battered amongst a crowd of smiling onlookers. For no reason at all, they just didn't want to get involved, you know, too much trouble. I was interested to look at, you know, I dare say it was a photo opportunity for some people. Oh, look, I'll show this to my kids later on, they'll be entertained, you know. I had a 20-year marriage to a covert narcissist. I had to leave. I didn't want to kill her. I didn't actually. I wasn't violent to her. I didn't abuse her. I didn't have a clue what she was doing. It deluded people. It's rife in Britain. Now, didn't Charlie advocate GMO maize in Britain? Part of his sponsorship of the British beef industry. Yeah. There's no stopping them. They don't give a shit. It's all swanky manners and art, you know, airs and graces. What do they call it? Pomp and circumstance and political spinning and three-line bloody whips and what next? Meanwhile, everybody's choking. I'm not going to wear a mask. I'm not going to take the jab. The jab ain't going to kill me. Pesticides, herbicides, monoxide, you know, PCBs, burning plastic. It's not going to, you know, it's not going to protect me from microplastics. There's enough irradiated atmospheric pollution to poison every lung on Earth. That's a fact. And it's just a pure chance that we survive it. And all the add-ons, the high-tech add-ons, we don't need them, we can live without them. The Neolithic man had more hope than we do at the moment. We're inventing a new age of dinosaurs that will stomp us out of the existence if we let it. And then they'll become extinct because who the hell's going to do the work? The machine hasn't got the knowledge. That DNA has, and when they go round the back door and stab us with immunity destroying vaccines just to cure what temporarily appease the system of the discomfort from the current mutation. We're not going to become immune that way, are we? To anything. They keep going round the back door. It's basically, if you put it into game speak, cheating. They're hacking our systems with intramuscular injections. People's immunities are failing as a result of their interference. What would I know? I haven't got an honorary doctorate like that Mrs. Clinton, have I? No. And she can't play the flute. before I run out of puff, last gasp music, you know, the Empty Hat Band, they couldn't come. Well, would you? Run the gauntlet of the masqueraders to get here? Risk being poisoned, you know, by all the clouds of effluent sweeping across the roads as farmers do their fields. I can see why people don't come to the countryside and visit people. Others who are holding the fort. The clouds pass, you know. I don't know if I'm happy. I know I'm getting old. I can tell. I'll be 70 this year. I'm alright about that. I like that. I like the idea of that. I was planning on getting old. Well, at least that's going right. You know. I keep getting older. That's okay by me. Oh yeah. I like it. Living. I like it. I like living naturally. Well, naturally, I like living naturally. As naturally as I can. You know, given that the modern world's imposed quite a lot upon us. Since folk have returned, the grand mixture from empire days, the big mixing, you know, that's 500 years of service, I reckon, coming back to Blighty. I was brought up to think that I had some sort of heritage. And I looked. And I found that the unadventurous ones, the ones who stayed at home, you know, the so-called essential services, they'd shagged it. They'd knackered it. There wasn't anything worth inheriting. Europe's been treated like a whore. The ground, I mean, the soil, the fields. You know, it's been abused quite badly. The life support's been corrupted. We're trying to put it right in our little patch of responsibility, this bit of mud, the rectangle that we bought, 1/10 of a hectare. We're doing well. Coping with almost guaranteed extinction. But coping with it. Americans don't use the word coping much, do they? They always say dealing. Makes them feel bigger. You're going to cope with it first before you can deal with it. I don't know what the point of all this is. I'll keep putting out my tunes. Mrs. can pick the bones out of it if I don't, and make some albums up, and maybe, you know, I'm trying to scrub the innocence back on my melodies so that you could put them into schools and in learning about music isn't about sexy ass tit wobbling, sensualizing, sexualizing, innuendo, vulgarity, violence instilling, bullshit electronic voice covers, enhanced talents. You know, it's like taking Viagra. I don't. You know, musical Viagra is what electronics have done to the industry. So, you know, it makes people sound good, and I don't think it's a good idea. I think it's about time people got back to do, re, mi and singing simple songs. Not just merrily we roll a bloody along. You know, haven't teachers got a wider spectrum of creative imagination than that? Hello, UK. I'm glad I'm not standing in the food queues, in the food banks. We'll keep hold of the serving ladle round our way, you know. Living in the Republic of France is a much better deal on much less money than the average social security payout in UK. And I prosper better. I thrive better. Living. No, here we live to serve. In Britain, I found I had to serve if I were to be allowed to live. And often the paymaster was a corrupt. And I ain't working for a corrupt. So, you know, oh, everybody compromises. We don't. .5% of, apparently, at one point, I read a statistic of the population. No, yeah. Britain is born naturally by design. My birth certificate tells me I'm a boy. How about that? A boy will naturally grow up to be a man. It's an absolute foregone conclusion. And I was brought up to be a man. I'm all right with that. I got my faults. Lifetime of improvement. I might die a saint. I got aspirations. Who knows? I don't want to be a martyr. 1/4 of Welsh women, apparently, according to their statistics, 1/4 of the female population are getting caesarean section by routine, often more than once, because they can't be bothered to do the head work or whatever, their excuse. I can't imagine those children born in that circumstance would have much in the way of immunity. I think you find that natural immunity relies on a continuity of natural living. I've lived through a lot of epidemics, surrounded by sick people. I have my own personal disciplines, private and cultural, my own. It's what keeps my genes moving forward, even if there's only me left. I don't know where the hell I'm going to end up, but I mean, here I am now. Probably the end of the line for me. I hope I can get another, 30 years maybe? Well, if it's good enough for Prince Philip, come on. I haven't got a paid-in health plan. My pension was trapped by the narcissistic wife in the previous marriage, so, I have to rely on my own cunning and wisdom and my own craft. Pity they didn't recognise that I had a heritage that I could leave as some sort of legacy. Perhaps they'll realise when it's too late that I had a philosophy that kept me intact, in spite of the wear and tear that my relative mortal coil has had to endure. It supports the life. It's an uphill climb till the end. I'll have a rest when I'm finished. I'll go out in a minute, see if I can breathe. Just my daily practice. Get good at it one day. A Terry Riley ocarina, credit where it's due. Not up for that. Head's banging now. Oxygen starvation. It's well to recognise the symptoms. I think I'll do the washing up now before I go out again.